internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, episode 12, happening right here every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain. Just in case you want to join us live, if you're watching this later on YouTube. And yeah, this is where the magic happens. Well, at least for those of us that are casters. And as you can see, I am over on this side of the overlay because this guy right over here is the DM for this campaign. Real quick, I'm gonna make this probably the quickest ever. We have below Mike in the middle, we have 3 golden dragons. Those are our domain dice or domain dragons that you can purchase for us to use for 500 bits or $5 each. The new rules for the domain dice are in the scroll down below. The main thing is we can't just use a dice to re-roll anytime we want. We can re-roll our own. It takes 2 dice to make the DM re-roll, 3 for out of short rest healing, 4 to convert a death saving throw fail, and 5 for the patron's blessing, a double critical. So if we're going to have any of that kind of action, we are going to need some domain dice. We're sitting on 3 right now, but we can also learn those from subscriptions, raids, and things like that. So that's the end of my announcements. Mike, it's your show.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that was very, very quick. That was very, very quick. Okay. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Waterdeep Dragon Heist. This is a module written by Wizards of the Coast. It is a phenomenal module, campaign for levels 1 through 5, and it ties rather nicely right down into Dungeon of the Mad Mage, a levels 5 through 20 uber super mega dungeon, apparently. It's I'm really excited. We're actually heading pretty good, making pretty good time as things are going. And speaking of time, can someone give me a recap of the last session for a point of inspiration? Okay, so then everyone roll me a dex save throw for that tumbleweed that just rolled past. That'd be great.
I think 6 needs to do this one since 6 was the star of the show.
It took me a moment to get to my unmute button. So let's see. What did 6 do in the last session? Let's see. Last week we finished up our 10 days of activities, where, of course, I spent the entire time getting to know various tavern owners and performers throughout the region to get a sense of what we could do to best run the Nobody's Inn when we opened it up, as well as to extend the reputation of 6 Days Until Summer, but also our inn. Which seems to have done pretty good job of, because we had a stellar opening night. We had people from all over Waterdeep, and especially a lot of the nobles that came in to taste of our fine beverages and to experience my one-of-a-kind unique show, in which I employ a bit of razzle-dazzle with the swords and the magic, a bit of this, a bit of... I'm not going to give it away for free. You have to pay your silver pieces to come see my show. But you can come see us at the Nobody's Inn 3 nights a week. I will be performing live. In the meantime, we were visited by, well, of course, our good friends, whose names are escaping me. I literally cannot remember their names now. I have it. Embrick and Avi from Steam and Steel. a local blacksmith. I mean, like they're like really, like literally across the street from us. We also got to meet with let's see, Fala, who runs the apothecary. Rochelle, Vincent, and of course we met the noble houses of Cathra. I think it's Than, Obrinter, Lady Haventree came with somebody that Kiara and Six know very well, a friend of ours by the name of Mert. A Margaster. I cannot read the writing in my mind on this one. But while we were meeting with Mert, he told us of a possible job opportunity down in the trade ward. Somebody's got a monster locked up in their shop or something. It might be something exotic that we need to take a look into. Also, we are being considered, or rather, we have taken on to be with a little bit of fixing up. The nobles have asked us to run or host the yearly wine tasting competition, and we will be hosting the sommelier, whose also name escaped me. And they are providing a security guard to watch over the purse, a few 5,000 gold dragons. So you could say that the owners and proprietors of the Nobody's Inn are moving up in the world. Also, Anna, Bevyn, and Kiara did things. I literally do not write down anything that doesn't directly involve Six. So
okay, that's fair.
I think I said that early on. If it does not involve Six directly, that way I don't have unfair meta knowledge.
Okay,
but Six is obviously a bit. Well, he's a tabaxi. He's very self-absorbed.
So you definitely get a point of inspiration. However, for a second point of inspiration, I want you to look right at the camera without looking at your notes. Look dead at the camera and tell me, being the gracious and wonderful owner, one of the amazing Nobody's Inn, as an owner, you can easily tell me the name of each one of your staff members.
Let's see. There is the bartenders like Vela. There's a cook by the name of Hamhock. There's 3 servers. Whose names they escape me at the moment because you won't let me look at my notes.
I know.
And honestly, I think I wrote them down wrong.
You pretty much, yeah. But you know what, though? I mean, you tried, and that's okay. Can anyone else sweep in and steal a point of inspiration?
I can't, but I'm cheating because it's literally written down right in front of me. Like I can look at my notes and it's going to look like I'm looking at the camera. So.
Oh, geez, yeah. Well, the cook is Helmond, right?
Yep.
Not
and then we have Vela, the bartender.
Okay.
Alice, I'm not quite sure how to say her name, but she's a tiefling.
Yep.
And then we have, I want to say it's a halfling. It's like Brambling or something like that.
Bramble. Yeah.
Bramble. Okay.
I'll take that one.
And then I am completely blanking on the human's name. I don't remember the human's name.
Jorvik.
There we go.
I have written down Yorkin.
Yorkin?
Yes, he's a fine lad from Yorkshire.
What was it?
Yeah, so,
Yorvin? Okay.
All right. So give yourself a point of inspiration. Good steal for Kiara. She will probably need
it. Surprise.
All right. Unless there's any definite questions any of you have, let us begin session number 12. All right. We head into now chapter 3. As the noble slams down his cup, he stares at the bard, and there's definitely a look of kind of, he's definitely perturbed. He says to him, "Now listen to me, story slinger. If I wanted to hear words about a mediocre band of miscreants that do a small token of goodness and then become business owners, I would listen to the local gossip in the kitchen staff here. Now, get to the actual story, if you don't mind." And the bard says, "Oh, of course. I am terribly sorry, but this is an important part of the story that needs to be said. So when it comes to this part of the story, it all makes more sense, you see. And please allow me." And he grabs the carafe and fills the noble's cup with more wine. This is through all of your eyes, yet through none of your eyes. And none of you are here, yet all of you can see this. As a small figure darts between alleyways and streets, trying to keep his head down, trying desperately not to be seen. And yet he can still feel eyes upon him. Every time he looks, every time he twists his head, as he moves onto Sashtar Street and then onto Windborn, he begins to duck into different areas, but he keeps looking around. His heart is in his throat, his fist clutching tightly to his chest, trying to both keep his prized possession close and keep his cloak tight so his face cannot be seen. But as he looks back, he can still see the dark figures moving towards them, long swords gently slapping at their sides as they move with intent and purpose in his general direction. He thought that he lost them at Thunderstaff Way. He thought when he moved back over Chasso's Trot and then down Diamond Street, he thought that he lost them, but he didn't. He even thought he lost them when he moved down underneath the city to a labyrinthine network that could perhaps help him get lost, but he could not disappear. He begins going down Windborn Street, his prize close at hand. He moves down, turns left onto Saradoun Street and begins to see it. He can see it close now as it begins to move. The two individuals, or is it three individuals? There's people behind him, but he just needs to move. He needs to escape. As long as he can make it to the door, he's there. As he gets closer and closer, he can see it. The prize is within his hand. He's almost ready to reach out with his hand and twist the knob and enter. And I need everyone to make dexterity saving throws.
13.
10.
10.
I am going to use a point of inspiration and re-roll that because that was a 2.
Okay.
And 47.
16.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
9.
9. Okay. Anna, you awake with a start, but the rest of you are just like, you pretty much fall out of bed. The whole building shakes. Kiara, you see outside a brilliant flash. Even in the early morning, this flash is just like lights up your entire window. The window even begins to rattle. You're almost afraid as you sit up in bed quickly that the window is going to shatter inward. But yet, for some reason, you kind of brace yourself. 6, you fall out of bed. Bevyn, as you kind of wake up for a start, your head immediately shoots to the right, but you see no one else beside you but a note. You hear Kiara screams, and a blackened smoke begins, a huge billowing blackened smoke begins to shoot past your window, almost covering up your your entire view of Troll Skull Alley. What are you all doing?
I'm probably racing to the hallway to see where everyone else is and what's happening.
Look out the window, checking for witches on bikes.
You see none. Not surprising. You actually don't see anything, Bevyn, as you look out your window, as it is facing the opposite of Troll Skull Alley. You actually have kind of a better view down past in the other opposite direction of where whatever happened.
See, I'm gonna roll out of bed and head towards the common areas.
I imagine kind of that way when a cat gets scared, that they kind of arc up into the air and then landing low to the ground, sort of on my hands and knees or on my hands and feet, with that feeling like there's like something triggered this, there was a sound or something, but not sure if it was a dream. And then I would head out my door, and I would go out onto the balcony up above the front entrance and take a look outside.
Okay.
No, I take that back. I think
Okay.
before looking outside, I think 6 would immediately go to check on the others, which I think would actually put Kiara. Yeah, I think I would run upstairs. I'm trying to. This doesn't say which floor is which. I think I'm on the second floor, right?
Give me one quick sec here. You are on. Yes,
Yeah,
you are on the
okay.
second floor, right by the common room, and Kiara is actually on the third floor, one floor above the den.
So I don't know if I would run into Bevyn heading towards the common room, but I'm heading upstairs to, especially seeing if I see Bevyn, then I would continue up to check on Kiara, and then.
Well, I'm on the third floor also, so I'm kind of running out from my room into.
Yeah, I'd be running right into
above the
bed because
common
our bedrooms are like across the hallway from each other type of situation.
Yeah.
Well, then seeing the two of them, I would immediately look at them and look up. Anna. And head up to the attic level looking for Anna. Even though I know she's usually not sleeping at this place.
Yeah, Anna, you would see her. I imagine you guys meet like halfway on the stairs. What's happening? Six?
Honestly, I do not know. But everybody is okay, yes?
Everyone else is all right? You've seen them?
Wait, what? Yeah, yes, here. They're right down here.
Right.
So I imagine I would have head out towards the stairs at this point.
I've probably run back into my room and up to look out the turret.
Okay. Sorry, Bevyn, you're heading where exactly?
To the stairs where Anna and 6 are.
Okay. And of course, you three would run into each other. Kiara, as you look out the turret window, you see devastation. You see a lot of people screaming, running in all directions. You see what looks to be almost a dozen bodies laying strewn out all across the ground. you can't make out any details, but that's what you see. And again, the lingering, like, kind of, it even almost permeates through the window, or even through the, like, in the turret, 'cause the turret's not really, like, well insulated, but you could smell this acrid kind of sulfurous smoke kind of billowing up, and it kind of, like, eventually, like, kind of zips, like, goes up, so you can now see. But
now that we're up and around, can we hear anything outside of the house?
Inside the house?
From obviously we're inside.
Yeah,
but I mean
you hear screams. You can hear yelling, like yelling. People are trying to, like, starting to, like, move. You can hear, like, doors opening and slamming. You hear screams. You can hear like very like everyone is kind of in a panic.
So if we're on the exterior staircase, is there anything we can see in the alley, or can we tell where this is all happening?
I mean, I'd be coming down the turret and, like, just telling everyone what I saw from the turret as well.
Yeah, I mean, even on all the levels, like, it just, as you go down, you can still see, you can get maybe a little bit better of a view, but even then you still have a balcony that's kind of covered out, so you don't have a good view of, like, down in front of the, like, in front of the tavern. You can see people, like, starting to open their doors and look around. You can see some people kind of moving over some of the bodies and trying to help them. People are just a general air of, like, a lot of people are just extremely upset and panicking. Some people are running. You hear a few people yelling, calling the guard, and that's what you hear.
So I'm going to head down the stairs to the alley to try and figure out what the heck's going on.
I'm following right behind, because after seeing the bodies, I'm going to go into cleric mode.
Yeah,
Okay.
Anna's following. Oh, sorry.
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anna's following as well. Just, what are we going to do? Are we going out there? Are you serious? There? With all that?
there might be some help we can do. And I'm running back to my room real quick. And I just grabbed my sword belt and kind of, I've got that fastened on by the time I come back out. I'm kind of like doing the hop thing, trying to pull on a boot. I don't have time to put on armor, but I just grabbed my sword belt and then I'm rushing out.
Okay. As you rush out, almost immediately around where you see the entrance to your tavern, you see a conglomerate of bodies around kind of the front of the tavern. You see a kind of a dead gnome, and you see two human men also dead, strewn about kind of near, just off to the area, kind of near Corellan's crown and the tiger's eye. You do see another like a scattering of bodies. You can see an elderly human woman who's died. You can see two female humans and a half-elf male also dead. By over near the bent nail, kind of by a water barrel, you can see what looks to be 4 halflings that have been like kind of pushed to the side, and they're not moving either.
Can I like basically kind of like go around? I'm trying to do triage, and the ones I know are bodies just sort of like, you know, covering their faces and trying to spare the dying if I find anyone.
You can tell basically on a summary glance that there's nothing you can do.
Okay, so there's absolutely no one I can help.
No, and
I imagine stumbling through. Is there like flames, things burning, or is it just billowing smoke? Or
There's no flame. It was like just a flash, and like almost like a flash fire. If you wanted to kind of get an idea about what it could be, you could just make me an intelligence check.
Yeah, I'm not so good at those. I have no idea. No, I'm just stumbling through this. I've never seen this kind of devastation. I've seen death here and there, even from sickness, but I have never seen. And I think Six is muttering this, walking, kind of stumbling through. I've never seen this scale of chaos. And kind of looking up in the direction of the bent nail, I think my mind would immediately go to Avi and Embrick, who are relatively close by there. And I'm going to start heading over to their place to see if they're okay.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
Bevyn's just kind of looking around, trying to see if he can find like an epicenter, anywhere he can tell like where, like the center, what's happened, looking for any clues as to what's going on.
Sure. I'm not even going to make you roll for it because it seems to be very obvious that the epicenter, it was like right in front of the Nobody's Inn. And the three individuals who were hit, this gnome and these two humans, seem to be like, you just see this like kind of black, like almost like an impact where the stone, where the like kind of the cobblestone road was almost burnt white of the stone, and then just black. So you can see like there was like an impact spot right there, and then just the flames just or whatever just went out really quick, and the three individuals seem to have been like killed like almost instantly.
So it's out in the road.
It's basically in like Troll Skull Alley, right in front of Nobody's Inn.
Do I have any idea what might have caused it?
You can roll me an intelligence check.
11.
Something like this seems to be, it almost seems to be magical in nature, because it doesn't make any sense that someone would throw some sort of incendiary device. Like the amount of power that is generated out from this in such a radius, there's no way that that any tinkerer, any non-magical item could do this kind of devastation.
And there's nobody alive around except for us.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of people like running around Troll Skull Alley. Like there's lots of people running around checking on each other, making sure everyone's like, people are okay. But you have the bodies in front of you, and then some of the bodies scattered outward from what seems to be the initial impact.
I think it's safe to say that just by nature, Kiara is going to be like going further and further out, just seeing if there's anyone she can help with the aftermath of it in terms of injuries or that type of thing. So as I see the dead bodies, I just keep going further and further away from the tavern.
You see a few people wandering around, especially those like kind of that have like homes close to your tavern. You can see windows like blown in just from the sheer force of the blast. A lot of people are walking around in a stupor, but other than that, you see other than the 11 people or the 11 bodies, you see no actual, like, you see no injuries.
Okay. And are there any like city guards coming in or anything like that?
Actually, make me a perception check on that one real quick.
Sure. That's gonna be 19.
High above your head, you can hear the distant sound of a screech, and as you look up, you see a large griffin lazily circling Troll Skull Alley. The rider kind of holding their lance, kind of at the shoulder, looking around, and you can begin to hear footsteps coming in from kind of all angles, as you know, like definitely like heavy mailed boots and other such like kind of like armored footsteps are beginning to approach.
All right, seeing that, I'll probably be talking to whoever, like running around and just trying to get people back to their homes and trying to get them to take care of themselves first before they're mucking up too much of the area.
Okay.
Type of situation.
All right. And what about you, Anna? What do you...
I think that Anna has been following Bevyn, and when he's kind of stopped and staring at what is obviously the center of this blast and the bodies around. Well, Bev, should we check the bodies quickly? See.
So, right. What's left of them? Let's see what we can find.
Yeah, their bodies are not like blown to pieces. This isn't like an absolute horror show of a blast.
Quickly before the guards muck it up, and yeah.
No worries. Who are you searching?
You said that there were 2 gnomes.
There was one gnome and then 2 human men, kind of in very close proximity to the front of Nobody's Inn.
I think Anna would take the gnome.
Okay, sure. Give me a perception check. 73.
24.
Nailed it. All right.
Bevyn will be checking one of the human as well at the same time.
Not a problem. I need you to give me a perception check as well.
It's not a 23.
Okay.
It's like a 7.
Anna, you see on the gnome, you see some dry waste on his boots and cloak, which seems to indicate that he has spent some time in the sewers. You would also know this because of the fact that, well, you guys have spent some time in the sewers. You also see a pouch that seems to have stuff in it.
I think that she would take the pouch, not looking in it.
Make me a sleight of hand check.
All right.
Because people are kind of gathering, around.
Right. Yep. That is an 18.
Okay. And just palming it in that way that you have done so many times before, you very easily kind of tuck it away. Now for you, Bevyn, you, as you're kind of going through and looking quickly, you just make out the beginnings of a tattoo on one of the human's forearms when you hear, "You! Away from that body now!" And you see like just a large group of guards come rushing in. They seem to have spears, shields, long swords, wearing chainmail armor. They're initially, you can see them running in, and they're kind of making what looks to be a almost like a phalanx around the crime scene. You see a woman who seems to be in charge of the guards, kind of pointing out orders, and which I'm gonna. And she stands there and she's kind of pointing out, I want 2 guards there. I want 3 guards there. We're blocking off Troll Skull Alley. No one comes in, no one leaves. And she's kind of pointing around, kind of pointing to different areas, kind of like putting crossbowmen in kind of strategic points. She looks at you briefly, Bevyn, says, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh,
And I point over at.
I didn't realize that we had some new conscripts in the watch. Are you in the watch? You don't look like you're in the watch.
I'm not on the watch, but I live
Back into your home. Go now. And she points to wherever, like she's just pointing in the direction, very coincidentally, to Troll Skull Manor and the Nobody's Inn.
I'm just going to stand there and stare right at her. And after a beat or two, I'll back away.
Okay. Now, because you're the only one there, you kind of get sent back to Troll Skull Manor. In the meantime, 6, what are you doing?
I had run across the alley to check on Avi and Embrick.
Right. I'm sorry. So as you go in, you don't see either one of them. They kind of have their shop locked up, and you have no idea where they are.
Would I be correct in saying that as I get over in the direction of their shop, I'm kind of outside of the blast radius of whatever happened?
Yes.
So I think I could kind of get the sense that there's maybe they're probably safe. They're hopefully somewhere else. By this time, would I see the call them a convoker by habit. The
not
Griffin,
appearing in this film.
Convokers are an absolute tabletop thing.
That is true.
The Griffin Rider, would I see all this?
Now, I mean, the Griffin Rider is high up in the sky.
Okay.
So, I mean,
but the guards that are telling Bevyn off.
The guards, yeah. You would see the guards rushing in. From where you are, you would see because there's 2 main exits and entries to Troll Skull Alley. You see 3 guards kind of beginning to shuffle in position, 2 guards shuffling into position into another area, and basically a large group of the city guard, not the city watch, coming in. So the city guard are the militia of Waterdeep. They are definitely, they're better armored, better armed, not necessarily better trained, but they are definitely they're basically kind of kitted out for combat.
I think, and seeing Bevyn kind of get told off, I'm going to linger in the shadows across the alley. Not necessarily deliberately hiding, but I am going to position, if possible, position myself under an overhang, so I'm not visible from the sky. And I just want to observe from the shadows.
Okay. I'm going to need you to make me a stealth check. Kiara, what are you doing?
I think if it's gotten to the point where I haven't found anyone who's in need of medical attention, and if people are heading back to their homes, I'm going to be walking back towards the tavern, but I'm probably visibly upset and frustrated that I couldn't do more to help the bodies that I did come across along my way of seeing what was happening.
Okay. And as you kind of begin to make your way over, you see a woman who, as you're kind of going the kind of northern route around to Troll Skull Manor. You see a woman. She's clearly incredibly shaken up. She's very distraught as to what just transpired. she's she seems to be dressed in finery, like definitely a noble woman, or at least a member of perhaps a minor noble family.
Is she someone I'd recognize at all?
Make me a history check.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I can do that for 14.
14?
Yeah.
You do recognize her. You've seen her at parties before. Her name is Jezrin Hornraven. You see her standing outside the Tiger's Eye. She's in noble circles. She is known to have rushed into a marriage, perhaps for reasons of status climbing. I mean, gossip is gossip. But it has been known in some social circles, especially ones that you have been a part of, that her husband has friendly hands. Yeah, there we go.
That works.
That works.
We'll go with that one.
Keep it a PG.
I'm going to go up to her and just address her and see if there's anything I can do to start getting her to kind of calm down and regroup. So I'll start walking towards her.
Sounds good. She kind of like takes a big, like a deep breath in, but like as she's thank you. I was just coming out of the Tiger's Eye and I had just hired Vincent Trench, my worthless philandering husband. I saw it happen.
All I saw was a flash from my bedroom. What happened?
And she kind of grips your arm very, very tightly.
I'll put my hand on top of her hand and just kind of squeeze it reassuringly.
It wasn't a man. It wasn't a man. It was a puppet. But a puppet that was shaped like a man. It was sized like a man. And he threw something into the crowd and she kind of points in like some like kind of like in too vague of a direction to like give you an exact bead. But she's pointing up. And he tossed it down into the crowd and I saw those both. And she's pointing to the halflings. They were just singing and dancing. And then she kind of devolves into like kind of very heavy sobs. And
I'm gonna pull her into me, just kind of like start patting her back and rocking her, sort of like a motherly hug, and just sort of like shushing her and trying to get her to calm down. Yeah,
and she's kind of like very ragged breaths, and she's in tears. You could definitely feel your kind of shirt or brocade is kind of like getting wet, and she's just crying and just saying over and over, I saw them burned alive. I saw them burned alive.
Lady Jezrin, it's going to be okay. Just take some calming breaths. And as I'm petting her, I'm going to do calm emotions on her.
Okay.
Just to kind of get her to regroup herself a little bit.
Sure. And I don't know, is that a throw on my part? Or
that's what I need. So go and look. Wait, did I pick that one? Hold on. Yes, I did. Just making sure.
While you're looking that up, I just want to say some anonymous gifter just dropped 5 subscriptions.
Well, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
It looks like a couple of you were actually the beneficiaries of that for being in the chat. So that's going to mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 domain dice have been gifted to us through whoever that anonymous gifter was. So thank you for that. Especially thank you from us players.
Yeah,
for those domains.
Wow.
No, thank you. That's very cool. It's actually a function that is relatively new on Twitch, I believe. Being able to anonymously gift. So sorry, I just wanted to acknowledge that. Back to the game.
All right, so it's a charisma saving throw, but the creature can choose to fail the saving throw if it wishes.
Yeah, I don't think she's really in a in a position to be able to have like a force of presence to fight anything. Yeah, it's just with tears in her eyes, you could definitely tell her breathing starting to like focus and become more calm.
My dear lady, I hate to say this, but this is important information you've seen. Perhaps be wise for us to speak to one of these guards about what happened, and perhaps they can at least seek out revenge against the one who caused all of this horror.
And through, as she kind of pulls back from your embrace, she kind of breathes raggedly again, and you're right. You're right.
If you'd care to come with me, we can go back to where I live. I'm at the Nobody's Inn, and I'd be happy to get you a cup of wine and maybe something to eat to help steady your nerves.
Yes, I would like that.
So I'm going to like kind of like tuck her hand underneath my arm and just sort of like walk her back in the direction of Nobody's Inn, and just sort of like soothing, calming words the whole time.
Yeah, and even a couple of guards approach you to try and get you to like go back to your homes, and they kind of stop and they realize what's going on, and they both kind of just nod their head and carry on kind of patrolling around.
If I'm like, are they like close to us? Because if I see them, I'm probably going to say, something along the lines of like, who's ever in charge, we have some important information for you.
They nod their head, and one of them even and says, "I am somebody's coming down from the watch. They'll be down in a minute. They'll be interviewing everyone, so just please stay in your home, and thank you."
We'll be at the Nobody's Inn. She's an eyewitness to all of it.
And you kind of raise her shield in a bit of a, kind of salute, and kind of turn very sharply and begin to walk. 6, you kind of are there for a little while, and you hear a shuffling from behind a rain barrel that's very near to you.
I would investigate.
All right. You see a young boy, probably about 12 years old, kind of ducking behind the rain barrel, and he seems to have something in his hand, but he's looking at you.
Why, hello there.
Hello.
What are you doing hiding back there? Are you okay?
When I saw the explosion, I wanted to come and hide, so I hid behind this barrel.
Explosion? You saw the explosion that happened?
Oh, well, I mean, no. I saw it go off, and then I ran back here, and then I heard a plop, and then I found this in the barrel.
And he kind of holds out what looks to be a small necklace that has what looks to be 2 beads on it.
Would you mind if I take a look at this?
Well, I was gonna keep it.
And he kind of like holds it over, like back from away from you.
What is the condition of this kid? Does he look like kind of street urchin level? I mean, it's a kid out in the middle of the night grabbing stuff from a rain barrel.
It's not in the middle of the night. It's morning. Yeah, it's morning.
It's morning. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sunrise. I was picturing everything at night. So it's a kid out.
It's a kid, yeah. I mean, he could be a like a common child. He's not dressed in like noble finery or anything, but he seems to be, doesn't seem to be starving or dirty or anything like that.
I'm going to reach into my coin purse, and I'm going to pull out a silver piece. And as I do so, I'm watching his expression. See if he
Well, at first you kind of reach him beside you. He kind of like panics a little bit.
No. He's okay. He's okay. And I hold my other hand out. I reach in, still watching him. I pull out and flash a silver piece.
His eyes kind of like light up a little bit.
And I'd like to do a little Barty sleight of hand as I kind of go like this and show that I'm actually holding 3 silver pieces. I would be willing to trade you, sight unseen, for this necklace that you have, or these silver pieces. I will purchase it from you.
Oh wow. Okay.
And he kind of hands it to you.
And I
Punch the kid in the face and run away.
No, I have claws.
Oh, you're a monster. Wow.
No. I drop the silver pieces into his hand with a little bit more sleight of hand to reveal that it was actually 5 silver pieces.
His eyes go wide and he kind of ducks out and runs down the alley. And as you're kind of holding this thing, what are you going to do with it?
Knowing the activity that's taking place across the street, I'm going to just take a quick look at it, but I'm going to slip it into my coin purse.
Okay. As you actually give me one quick sec here. I need to see if you're in trouble. So as you slip it in your coin purse and you stand up, you surprise a guard who just like kind of panics and then takes his spear and kind of like points it kind of right at you. Who are you?
Hello, my name is 6 Days Into Summer. I live here in the Troll Skull Alley.
Why aren't you back at your home yet? Go on, go on. And he's kind of prodding you with the spear, getting you to.
Absolutely, I was just heading there. And I will wait until I'm kind of clear of his spear, and I will lower my hands and head for the inn.
Okay.
Did I see when Bevyn went back there, or Kiara? Did they go? Did they go into the inn, or did they go into the tavern, or did they go into our house part, or did you go into the tavern?
Well, here's the thing. Because you booked it over to go see Avi and Embrick to make sure they were okay, because you're a cool guy, you probably wouldn't have seen.
Okay, so I lost sight of them.
Happen. Yeah.
I think then I would first go to the house. I would go upstairs.
Okay. Now, Bevyn and Anna, I'm assuming you guys were together when you guys got booted back. Where did you guys go? Like, did you guys go into the tavern, or did you go upstairs into your home? Don't worry, there's no wrong answer here. Your house isn't gonna explode on you. Okay.
Bevyn is watching this guard, keeping an eye on what's going on. So yeah, I would imagine if he could have gotten away with it, would have just gone up onto the porch and stood there watching.
Okay.
I think that Anna would have gone up into the common room in the house area.
Okay. And Kiara, you would have walked her back into the tavern area, or would you have walked her back up to your home?
I probably gauged it based on how she was holding up. And chances are I'd probably take her back up into the common room area, thinking it'd probably be a little bit more private and calming for her as opposed to just the bar area.
Okay, good call.
Especially if it means sort of like skirting around. I don't know if would we be walking up to the bodies, or is that sort of like...
I mean, you'd kind of have to walk around them a little bit, but I'm sure that you would have
I'd probably shield her and kind of keep her eye away from it as we're making our way to the home entrance as opposed to the business entrance.
Figured. So you guys end up going up to the common area. Okay. As you are the last person to kind of go up into the common area, you kind of like looking behind you, you see what looks to be a fairly portly fellow wearing some like kind of very nice kind of crystal like spectacles and a cane, kind of walking over to where all the bodies are, and you see him, and beside him you see kind of a tall fellow wearing armor of the watch with a truncheon on one hip and a long sword on the other. He seems to have, although hard to see, he seems to have a few markings that designate him as someone above other members of the watch. And he is kind of walking with a small book and what looks to be a like kind of piece of coal that he's using as a pencil. The portly fellow is kind of pointing to different areas of like different areas of the kind of incident, the main kind of the epicenter of this blast, and he's kind of talking, kind of like giving information to this one individual who's just writing stuff down, kind of nodding his head. And then finally, he kind of like looks around, points, kind of, and you see him look up onto the rooftops of some of the buildings in Troll Skull Alley, kind of take his cane and kind of like hold it up almost like a pool cue when you're kind of measuring how straight it is, and then kind of points down, looks down there, points, and then points directly at Troll Skull Manor. And that's where we're going to take a break.
Oh. Dude.
You. Oh,
right.
you. Oh, you.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and throw the break screen up, and we will take about a 5-minute break or so, as per usual. So we will see you right back here in just a few minutes. Thank you for everybody who's tuned in, and a shout out to whoever the anonymous person was that dropped 5 gift subs into the chat. So we will see you in just a few moments. And we're back. And right off the bat, I want to acknowledge Gamers Theater, who has just resubscribed during the break for the 5th month in a row and has garnered us our first Platinum Sun. That actually means, as of right now, actually, I think the numbers are wrong, because I have only 8 at a time up here. Let me fix this. I'll just do it that way. We have 10 domain dragons. That's what the Platinum Sun means. It takes 10 dragons to equal Platinum Sun. So thank you, Gamers Theater, for the re-up. Man, we're just getting subscriptions left and right on this stream. So thank you for that. And we are back. Mike, it's your show.
See, I disagree with that. I think it's all of our show. It's not just my show. I'm just the referee doing
You're the
stuff.
ringleader.
Ugh, God, oh man, we are so headed for a dumpster fire. All right, well. So, as we bring it into the common room of Troll Skull Manor, Jezrin, or Lady Hornraven, is sitting there with just a cup of wine that you've brought up from the tavern. And she's kind of just staring into it a little bit. And she's just kind of breathing in, breathing out. You know, her you could definitely tell she's calmed down. Because I mean, not a lot of people are built to see human beings just burned alive, especially right in front of them. You know, it's definitely not something that is common. And as she's breathing, like, you could tell she's kind of trying to focus on something to keep herself from crying. What are the four of you doing right now?
I'm sitting right by her, and I'm just trying to almost like idle chit chat her nerves to keep them at bay. Just sort of like, you know, how have you been? Does she have children? Would I know that?
You're not sure because a lot of your information is out of date.
Okay.
Just from being, you know, like from being away from the city for about a year.
All right. So I'll just be kind of like small talking with her and just trying to keep her, because at this point calm has worn off, just to be able to get her inside. So at this point I'm trying just to keep her calm on my own without the benefits.
For sure. And what about you, Bevyn? What are you doing?
I'm just keeping an eye on what's going on outside. So I will be at the door just watching the guards, trying to see if I can see anything going on, what might be happening.
Sure. Looking around, you can see now this same slightly portly gentleman kind of pointing. He's directing now you see a bunch of robed individuals. One of them you recognize as Ingra. You see a large group of these individuals that you wearing different types of robes. You can assume that they are clerics. You see them stopping to each body and what looks to be kind of laying a hand down, but you see kind of the body begin to shimmer, kind of like this, like when dust motes are kind of caught in rays of sun in a home. It kind of has that sort of a feeling, but just around the body. And then you see a couple of guards kind of lifting them up very carefully and placing them upon what looks to be a kind of a cart gurney. And it's being kind of carried by kind of like a single horse. And the bodies are kind of being laid out, as many as can, and then another cart comes in so that no bodies are stacked upon each other in a kind of a disrespectful manner. If you'd want to know what spell is cast, you'd have to make an Arcana check. If failing that, an Intelligence check.
19 on Arcana.
Okay, you can tell that this is a spell that many clerics use in preparation for funerals or even in crime scenes. Perhaps you've even seen one going through the more seedier parts where murders happen more often. It is a spell called Gentle Repose, where the body does not break down as quickly as it would if just left out.
Okay.
Anna, what are you doing?
Anna has her back turned to the woman and to Kiara. She's trying to idly listen, but she is going to open up this pouch and look inside.
Ah, yes. The pouch. I'd almost forgotten.
And then they died.
Anna didn't.
Yeah, you're going to have to make a dexterity saving throw or be hit with 5d100 damage. No. You see inside the pouch, you see 5 gemstones. They look to be fire opals. Kind of picking one out very surreptitiously. You see like this brilliant kind of like lines of red that kind of go through this kind of deep, almost like crimson gemstone. Not needing a roll, you figure that inside there's 5 stones altogether, and each one is worth 100 gold. Yeah, you heard me. Y'all heard me. So that's what you see.
So obviously this isn't usual for just anyone to be walking around with. Does she remember from looking at the gnome if they were nicely dressed or anything of note? She's trying to go on memory, so
no worries. Okay, I'll tell you what, make me a really quick history check.
Okay.
But make it at advantage, because I think something like this will imprint upon your memory. It's a horrific thing.
All right, that's a 14.
14?
Yeah.
You remember the gnome kind of dressed in black leather armor. He seems to have been wearing a lot of black. So either he was going through a phase, which is probably not it, or he was trying very hard to be in a place where he can blend in and not be seen very well.
Okay. So is Bevyn out on the balcony right now? Or are you in the common?
I think you were by the door, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm like just at the doorway. Like I'm inside the tavern.
Oh, inside the tavern. Oh, okay. So I think Anna would come to find you.
Now that would mean leaving your home and going down around in front and into the tavern.
Mm-hmm. That might not be the best. Is there a back way?
Not yet. However, I mean, if there's,
we need a secret entrance.
If that is something,
a trap door.
Ye old trusty dumbwaiter,
No kidding.
I was kind of thinking we needed like a fire pole.
Those are fun to ride in, by the way.
So, I don't fit in dumbwaiter.
So all I can say is someone is furiously scribbling that down for a future upgrade.
Yes.
I'm making notes on my map.
I think more than some. I think many.
It's the kind of thing where you don't realize you need it until
you need it.
Yeah. Need it. Yeah.
She wants to talk to Bevyn. All right. I think she's just gonna wait then. Just at least for a bit. Just gonna turn to face Kiara and Lady Hornraven and just kind of idly listening.
Sure.
See if she can pick up anything.
And 6, what are you doing besides furiously writing the dumbwaiter that you're going to put in?
I was not just figuring out the best place to put a fire pole and a dumbwaiter.
Fair pull.
So having been instructed to head back to my home, I would have done so. And I would go into the house. And basically for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to go back to my room and I'm getting fully dressed in my leather armors are pretty much like everyday wear for the most part. And I'm just going to leave this necklace kind of tucked into my coin pouch, my coin purse, for the time being. On second thought, I think for now, while I'm in my room, I'm going to... Oh, wait. Liff, the ghost, has a tendency to light the fireplace, doesn't he? So, I'm going to stick this somewhere else. Yeah, I'm going to find a place to hide this, this necklace. Seeing as I'm at least aware that I've probably taken something at least tangentially related to whatever happened, based on the kid's testimony to me. I don't know, would I be able to find like a loose floorboard or something in this old place?
Make an investigation check.
Oh, because I'm so good at those.
Oh, well, you know.
Ooh, natural 19, so that's an 18.
That's awesome. Even though Liff has been very astute at making sure that everything is quite clean, as he does love this place even till after death, you do manage to find what looks to be a purposeful floorboard that has it's loose for a reason, and it seems to, like, by kind of pushing on one end, it seems to pop out, and it's not nailed down to anything, and just for that reason, opening it up, no, you don't find anything in there. However, you do have an area that you can put it in.
Is that in my room?
It is in your room, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna mark this. Yep, so I'm just gonna stash that in there. Perfect. So yeah, that's what I'm doing for the next 10 minutes or so.
All right. So yeah, you get dressed, you get everything sorted out. Lady Hornraven is kind of, as she's looking at the wine, just kind of like moving, I guess, through her own, like, kind of shaking, on the table. You weren't no man. It was a puppet. It was a puppet. Do you remember the Parade of Wonders?
A couple of years back.
Yes, every year the Temple of Gond puts it on it, and it's a lot like the automatons that you would see marching in the parade,
So
holding
like
flags.
Like one of their constructs?
Yes. It almost seemed like that, but not.
You don't think it was their work, do you? That seems so unlikely.
No. The Temple of God would never.
Of course not.
But it's something else.
But it reminded you of what they've done in the past.
Sorry, actually, I missed that.
They remind you of what they've done in the past, right?
Well, they just... It was the same type of thing, made of metal. I mean, I turned my head after the blast, and I lost it. I didn't know where it went.
Well, you can't blame yourself for that. That's just a natural reaction.
I just feel bad for Fala. from the Corellan's crown. When the blast hit, the windows in the upper floor where the greenhouse is all shattered in. I hope they're okay.
Arvala?
Yes, Fala Lefalia, I think is their name. The owner of the Corellan's crown.
That's terrible.
Yes, I don't know what happened to them, but I assume being an apothecary, they must be okay. I don't know, maybe after this ugly business is done, you might be able to talk to them.
Yes, of course. I do hope someone gets here soon, because what you have is beyond important for what's happened. It's quite brave of you to sit here and be willing to share it again.
Thank you.
And it's at that moment, Bevyn, you see it first. You begin to see the kind of portly gentleman and the taller fellow begin to kind of go around the front of the tavern, going up the stairs. Not 10 seconds after, you hear a kind of gentle at the front door.
Do come in. And at this point, I'm like holding her hand and just sitting next to her, like I'm not going to leave her, because I can tell she's very upset still.
I'll follow them up the stairs.
The taller individual kind of like looks back and kind of instinctively reaches for his truncheon. And who are you then?
My name is Bevyn. I'm one of the owners here. You're heading up to our home. I'm going to come with you.
And the portly gentleman kind of fixes his spectacles and nods. They both come into the common area.
Hello there. I'm Barnabas Blastwind of the... Oh, gosh, my notes.
Sorry, people. I'm the worst. I'm the worst ever.
No.
My name is Barnabas Blastwind of the Watchful Order of Magisters and Protectors. Might I speak with you, please?
Yes, of course, Mr. Blastwind. Perhaps you should speak with the lady who I'm living first, as she has some rather pertinent information for what has happened this morning.
Yes. We'll get to that in just a moment.
And kind of sits down. The sergeant still standing there, kind of holding his piece of coal and getting ready to take notes. He kind of calmly sits and says, "Well, I suppose that there's no way or rhyme or reason to beat around anything. Clearly, you've seen the unfortunate incident that has happened. I must ask, there is 3 victims outside that seem to have been running in this direction, running for the tavern. I assume you're the proprietors of the establishment below."
We are, but it's not even close to opening hours for us at this time.
I see. Well, clearly, they were all in a hurry to see you. Do you have any knowledge of any such gnomish individual?
Not that I can think of personally, no.
Are you sure there's nothing, not even the 2 humans that were tailing them? You've seen nothing of the sort? And he's looking around at each and every one of you. Or at least all of you that are there. I assume 6 that you've joined them at this point?
Yeah, I mean,
no?
by this point, I imagine the 10 minutes has gone by, and
Okay.
I come walking in.
And you said that I recognized or I saw the glimpse of a tattoo. Did I recognize it at all, or just did I not have a chance to really know what it was?
I'll tell you what. If you can make me an investigation check at disadvantage because you only glimpsed it, and we'll see what you got.
13.
Actually, that was a lot higher than I would have thought. All right, you do. You made out kind of a very like one that you've seen before. You've seen even through the bottom. You see that you remember the serpentine bottom of the tattoo that kind of like goes to a point right at the wrist. And you're pretty sure that you could figure it out in your head that if you were to continue and follow it, it would end at a serpent's head with 2 wings outstretched on the forearm. So you've definitely seen this tattoo before. How about you? And he points at you, Bevyn. Is there something you would like to share? You seem to recall something.
I recall trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and then that bitch made me leave.
Well, that bitch, as you would so and very dangerously say, is Captain Delphine Cade. I would do very well to not anger her, as she is in charge of the North Ward. And the sergeant kind of gives you a sideways glance too.
Well, maybe if she's in charge of the ward, she could keep things from blowing up in my front yard.
Right. Well, can you think of anything at all that might be pertinent to this information? Investigation. Anything?
Is the investigation still focused on the figures who are outside our front door, or information on what could have possibly caused this?
Well, clearly we have 3 victims who are the reason for this blast. Seems to have died while trying very quickly to get to your front door. Not going to lie, but by how the evidence is presented, it does not look good for the 4 of you.
Perhaps you'd best listen to what the lady has to share with you then, sir. It might be a little bit enlightening.
And she relays it, and as she's relaying it, you see Barnabas is not doing anything to try and like quell it or brush it off. He's just listening with almost like a laser intensity. I see. So we have an automaton who appears to have attacked these 3 individuals who again were running toward your establishment. And you've never met this gnome? You've never seen the 2 humans outside?
We have never seen these individuals, and just because they were running for our front door, why does this implicate us as being persons of interest? I mean, they could have been running. Somebody blew them up. If somebody was trying to blow me up, I would probably run for the nearest location for safety that I could find as well.
See, I would have thought that as well. However,
It would appear that the 3 individuals did not see that attack coming. And of course, understand that as the watchful order of magisters and protectors, I have to be very careful about the fact that a fireball spell was cast in daylight in a group of civilians. The denizens of Waterdeep are partially under my charge, partially under the sergeant's charge, and of course, Captain Bitch Delphine Cade, as he's looking right at you, Bevyn.
I just smile back at him.
Oh, you're making all kinds of friends today, aren't you?
I will say that again. Okay, so they were not running from whoever this was who attacked them. But you say that they were running for our front door. And it is a peaceful morning, and we have recently opened our doors to the public as an establishment of both food, drink, entertainment. Perhaps they were simply coming to see what the Nobody's Inn was all about. Again, I just do not understand how we, as innocent proprietors of a business, a new business, are suddenly primary persons of interest in your investigation.
Make me a persuasion check.
And now
just from how you're saying it, make me a persuasion check.
That I am good at, usually.
I mean, there could have been some confusion. It was just our opening night last night. We weren't exactly exact with when we would be reopening again the next day's business. Perhaps they heard what happened last night and they were trying to get in early because it got terribly crowded at one point.
That is a 13 after using a point of inspiration.
He kind of adjusts his spectacles and kind of like backs up and kind of stands up. Now, do not leave the city. If there is anything else that you can think of, please inform the city watch. I will come here and take another statement. As he begins to leave, he turns kind of back, kind of putting a fair bit of his weight on his cane. Understand this. That gnome was being pursued by 3 armed individuals. There are 2 dead individuals and 1 dead gnome. There's no evidence, no information to figure out why he was running. There was no reason for this individual to be running to a tavern that was not even open. While I understand that you seem to not need to know, keep in mind, we will be keeping a close eye upon you. The city of Waterdeep thanks you for your assistance in this investigation, seeing this fiend brought to justice. Lady Hornraven, if you'll attend me, please, we shall walk you back to your manse. And Lady Hornraven kind of downs the rest of her wine and kind of stands up. She places kind of a very like a thank you hand upon your shoulder, Kiara. And she begins to walk with Mr. Blastwind.
As soon as he's done talking, I open the door and just kind of gesture out.
As Barnabas and Lady Blastwind, as Barnabas and Lady Hornraven exit, the sergeant kind of stops and looks down at you. Like, he's a tall fellow. He looks down at you.
And he doesn't say anything. Like it stops for like a very pregnant pause, and he kind of like stares at you, and then continues walking. And they both leave.
What?
Well, all three of them leave.
What time of day is it? I mean, I know it's morning, but what time of the morning?
I would say now by this point, it's probably around 9:30, 10 a.m.
Would our staff be around?
They probably would have tried to start coming in. But they probably can't because of the fact that the whole alley has been cordoned off.
I will just say to the others then, when I think her name was Vela. When Vela and the others get here, I know within other establishments in other locations that I have performed at, that memorial services in the like are often a thing that the community partakes in, and I would like to suggest that when we are able to, that we open the Nobody's Inn to the residents of the Troll Skull Alley who have been affected by this horrible tragedy. I would also say, and to as much as I am able to do so, that we do not, this is not a profit-making venture, that we should just open our doors, open our larders, open our taps to allow the residents of Troll Skull Alley to come in and mourn for those who have been lost or affected by this incident. Does this not seem like the right thing to do? Am I? And I'm kind of looking at
gesture, but perhaps we should limit the time so as not to be taken advantage of by others who meander into Troll Skull Alley and aren't exactly part of the community.
Do we have the funds to provide that?
Question, because there is the guild fees, there are all the other.
Well, I mean, we made a pretty good profit from our grand opening.
Yes, but you don't want to have it all go down the drain before we see how the actual rate of attendance is.
Now, again, I'm not thinking this. I'm saying this is not to be a way to make a profit off of the tears of others, but also this kind of a thing. I mean, to be honest, I think it would go. The word would get around, and perhaps beyond this evening, others will see what we have done, and will want to come in here to spend their coin when they have it. I just think this would be perhaps a good way to do something. And at this point, I'm kind of almost nervously pacing, and maybe anybody paying close attention might notice that Six is a bit bothered by what he saw.
Mike, what would it, if we were to do this, what Six is talking about, what would it cost to, what would you say that it would cost to
I mean,
to fund a night like that?
If you were to put on a wake with drinks and food and things like that, and if you were just to invite, the people of Troll Skull Alley, which, I mean, you most certainly can. You guys have been wandering around Troll Skull Alley. You can tell who lives there and who doesn't. You know what I mean? Like you get to that kind of stage where you can, have a closed kind of a thing. It would probably cost you, I don't know, let's say about probably 25 gold pieces of like the of your own wares. And then I would probably when you guys roll for your profit, I would probably have to subtract 5 from the die for that 10 day, because you've eaten out your stock and you've given out your stock for free. So whatever profit you make for the rest of the 10 day before you have to pay the 60 gold per 10 day to keep the business going, it'd be something to that effect. So.
And remember, Six has offered, if necessary, to pay for some of this out of his own purse.
Yeah. So Bevyn's just gonna kind of wordlessly go upstairs. And after a couple minutes, he comes back down with he's holding on to a pouch, and he just drops it onto the table in the common room. As I assume that's where we're all sitting still. And you can tell that he's kind of like something's not sitting right with him here either. Like he's bothered by what's happening. Got this. I think Six has got the right idea. This will cover us for a night.
Now, just to like, just for ease of everything, I can assume that you would have made contact with the guildmaster of the vintners to like procure a few things, or you've been in contact with breweries to kind of get like a couple of casks. We can say that you've sent messengers, sent paper birds, sent by Fox, and got everything that you needed to get, and things like that. Eventually, as some time has gone by, you do hear your staff kind of like unlocking the door as you've given one of them, probably the bartender, a spare key, and they've unlocked it, and they've kind of started slowly getting ready and for kind of the afternoon evening. So as it stands now, you see some of the guards still kind of patrolling through. The bodies have all been removed, but there are still guards kind of looking around and checking things out, making sure, like kind of like seeing if they can find any evidence of like, I don't know, a murder weapon or something. Looking at you, Six, and just kind of like, talking to a few people. Out the window, you do eventually see Avi and Embrick. They both look shocked and aghast. That what is going, like what is happening. Like they didn't even know what was going. They don't seem to know what was going on. And actually, who else would be looking out the window and checking things out?
I probably would have gone into the tavern and sort of seeing what's going on with everyone who's come in and sort of catching them up and reassuring them type of situation. So I imagine I'd probably be like glancing outside every so often. Yeah.
Sure. I would need you to make me a perception check.
It's a 19.
Across the alley by the Tiger's Eye, you do see Fala kind of sweeping up glass that had fallen onto the ground. You see her kind of speaking to Vincent Trench. He's kind of standing there, and he's kind of helping her to sweep as well, kind of getting all the kind of glass up. And he's talking, and as he's talking with her, you kind of see him kind of like hold up a hand, and he kind of like not physically pushes them away, but just kind of like gets them to just stand off to the side for a moment. And he kind of holds his hand
in kind of a way, and he makes a symbol, and you see Fala's eyes kind of go wide as it's the weirdest thing. Like, you've seen telekinesis before. You've seen wizards do telekinesis and all sorts of interesting things. But it almost looks like the way the glass is going, you can see the like dust that is settled being kind of pulled back towards the different shards as it kind of begins to kind of move back up the up, and the way it falls, it's falling in a way that's reversed. It's almost as if like you're taking one part of a movie and hitting rewind, but cutting one section of a frame. So you're almost like you're seeing time reverse itself. And even though everyone else around is just walking and doing what they do, and except for this one thing, and you can almost hear the glass, and it just kind of like cracks up. And then you see the spider webs, and as the glass kind of bows in and out, and then it just kind of hooks, like kind of all connects back, and all the spider webs recede back into the kind of like leaded glass portions of the stained glass window. Fala looks at Vincent, smiles and bows, and Vincent returns that bow to them and holds his hand over his heart and smiles. And he goes back in, and Fala is left to just begin kind of sweeping up the area. They have the broom out, so they might as well.
When I get a chance, I want to talk to Bevyn. I would find a moment after the authorities are gone and maybe Kiara has gone down to deal with the staff. Bevyn, can I talk to you in my room for a moment?
Aye.
And I would lead him back to my room. Could you wait here just a moment? Out in the hallway. And I will go in and withdraw the necklace from the floorboards, carefully replacing the floorboard, moving to the opposite side of the room, and then calling Bevyn. You can come in now. This morning, in the chaos of the aftermath of the what happened, I rushed across the alley to check on Avi and Embrick of the Steam and Steel, to make sure they were okay. They were well outside the blast radius, it appears. And I have since seen them out and about, and I haven't had a chance to talk. That is not important. I decided, while you were talking with the that bitch, as you referred to her, and the other authorities, I thought it best to stay across the alley, out of sight, and just observe. And I found a young street kid who said that he was there in the alley right after the explosion. He heard footsteps, and he heard a plop, and he withdrew this from inside the rain barrel. I was able to convince him to give it to me for a few silver pieces. I don't know why I kept it hidden. Normally, I would immediately go to the authorities with something like this, but I don't know. Maybe I've been around you and Anna a bit. You're starting to influencing me for the better or for the worse. This is actually the first opportunity I've had to take a close look at it, but I wanted you to know as well. And I hold up the necklace with the two beads on it, and I think about the time I'm showing it to Bevyn, my new nickname for Bevyn is Bead. To Bevyn, I'm also taking a closer look at it.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm gonna need then, if you want to try and figure out what it is, I will need either an Arcana check at a little bit lower of a DC, or an Intelligence check at a higher DC.
I am super good at Arcana and Intelligence.
Yeah, I'm gonna take an Arcana check.
I'll take an Arcana check as well. They're both -1 for me.
And I'm going to use my point of inspiration and re-roll that critical fail.
My 16 becomes a 15 for Arcana.
And
Okay.
no, I still fail. Unless a 7 somehow makes it. So.
As you look intently at the beads, it looks like you're holding. The best way to describe it would be as if someone was able to capture fire in amber. You see these two kind of teardrop shaped beads of amber, and inside what seems to be swirling angry flames. And I mean, you're holding this like, this close to your face, but you can see it. You can see the swirl, and it's almost as if this fire just wants to come out. Fire is not alive unless it's a flame elemental, but it seems like this is alive. This is tangible. This is a thing. And you know that you are holding in your hand a necklace of fireballs with a broken clasp that has 2 beads left on it.
I think as I'm holding it out to Bevyn, and there's this moment where we're both looking at it, and maybe Bevyn just sees a necklace, but I see this. For some reason, I pictured it almost, as you were describing it, almost like an Eye of Sauron moment. As I realize that this is a magical item, that I also realize, and I say to Bevyn, "Oh shit, Bevyn. Don't be alarmed, but I think it is entirely possible that I may be holding, I might possibly be holding the murder weapon."
So Bevan's just he's looking at it. It just looks, like you said, it looks like a nondescript necklace to him.
You see,
What
this, I don't know how to explain to you. You have seen me do, myself and Kiara, we can take the elements, arcane things. I use them to enhance my performances. You have seen this. But this is like that, contained within these little tiny beads. And I believe that and at this point I'm almost holding it gingerly, I believe that these beads contain within them explosions like the one that wreaked the havoc this morning. This may very well be the murder weapon. And don't worry, if my magical effects last more than 4 hours, I seek a arcane professional. I saw your note in the chat. I know what I said when I said it.
So it's I don't know much about magic, but I know enough from what you're telling me that this is pretty dangerous. Let alone the fact that it might get us in a heap load of trouble.
And from the handout that I've given you all, or at least you two, you would know specifically that the fine for hampering in an investigation is a 200 gold fine and a 10-day worth of hard labor. So, yeah, there's that.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie, Bevyn. This is hardly the first time we have skirted with the law. But I think, especially the more I hang around with you and Anna, we seem to be playing fast and loose with the definition of legal.
Well, 6, you don't have to lie. That's what I'm for.
And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that just on pause for just a moment because that's a perfect spot. And I'm just going to go to Anna because Megan's been super quiet and I feel kind of bad. So what has Anna been doing the whole time that these two have been kind of conversing and Kiara has been down in the tavern, totally not seeing time go backwards in a really cool way? I'm gonna have to write that down because that's going to be a cool spell thing at some point. But what have you been doing?
Actually, Anna wanted to talk with Bevyn, but I think she can't find him anywhere. Or she might have even heard some sort of talking outside of Six's room, just muffled talking. Actually, can I roll to see if she would have come across that, like, in her search for Bevyn?
Like overheard us?
You mean like over, or you mean like you want to see if you can try and like have found that necklace?
Well, no, not the necklace, but just I just want to see if it would make sense. She's looking for Bevyn, if she would have heard
the conversation?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Because you were looking for Bevyn and it's not a very huge home and you'd be kind of like wandering around, make me an investigation check.
Okay. I got a 21.
Nice. So as you're going around, you kind of see telltale signs of Bevyn because you're quite not necessarily like an expert tracker, but you kind of see like, okay, well, I kind of know, like I know the way Bevyn moves and, the carpeting is kind of like, I can kind of just kind of make out a few footprints of his and seems to have gone there. And then, your mind may have wandered a bit because that's how Anna rolls. And it's like, God, 6 is annoying. Maybe I should go bug him, and as you're kind of wandering around, I need you to make a perception check.
Okay. That's a 23.
Of course. And you can make out muffled voices, and you can kind of make out, let's say, every third or fourth word you can kind of make out from their conversation behind a closed door, right? So unless you want to physically go up there and like,
I think because she noticed and because she kind of heard them talking, I would think almost this quick emotion of jealousy would just kind of pass through her quickly, and she would sneak up and try and listen in on their conversation.
All right, then. I'm not even going to get you to roll for it because there's really no point, because honestly, but what I am going to need you to do, roll me a stealth check.
Okay. It's an 18.
All right, well, and then I need both Bevyn and 6 to roll me perception checks.
All right, let's see.
Very 20.
Okay.
Whoops. That is a 13.
All right. You don't notice, or you can't hear but you can, Bevyn. And it's one of those ones that you're mostly from kind of entering into domiciles undetected. You hear the telltale squeak of a center floorboard, even through the carpeting, is kind of just gentle. As you can you can tell someone's at the door.
As we're talking, I imagine this is still like mid conversation.
Yeah.
As you know, I imagine that I'll just kind of take a couple of steps back without even looking and just open the door. Come on in, Anna.
Anna tumbles. She's like straining to here. She's pressing on the door. As soon as you open it, she just tumbles onto the floor. Oh, Bev, I was just looking for you.
Oh, you found me?
Right, but I can see that you're busy, so I'll come back later.
Oh, Anna, you need to see this too.
Oh, well, if you insist.
Wow. Best performance ever.
Well,
what is it?
I mean, in a way, you are also responsible for 6 days into summer's first foray to a life of crime.
Oh, I'm proud of you. What did you do?
And I would explain pretty much what I told Bevyn. This is look, this is a very dangerous magical necklace, fireballs, murder weapon. This is the part that I am most concerned about. That, well, I do believe this is the murder weapon used at the incident today. I also think, and I very quickly repeat that, much quieter. And I also think I should not tell Kiara. Not right away. I mean, I kind of want to let me get the measure of how she will take this news. It's not that I don't trust Kiara. Truth be told, I have a lot of respect for her. I don't want her to be too worried about. Honestly, I don't want her to be involved. Complicit, I think, is, I don't know this jargon. When it comes to breaking the law.
Well, Six,
Right.
if you think that's the best way, I'm not one for keeping things from my mates, but
Right, that's a downright awful thing to do. But it's your choice.
I did not say I would not tell her eventually. I just want to get a measure of what her thoughts are. We have not had a chance to talk since, well, at all today.
Well,
has-
oh, go ahead.
it has been quite the day.
I mean, I thought we were going to go looking for monsters today, but then this happened.
Well, since we're talking about things we found, and Anna would take out the pouch that she found from the gnome. I might have gotten this from the gnome. Don't look at me like that, Six. You have the murder weapon.
I do it. A little boy, he found it. It was in a rain barrel. You took these off of one of the dead bodies.
I thought that it would have something, and it might. And she spills the stones out onto her hand, these fire opals.
Oh, fuck.
How, in color and appearance, how do they compare to the beads on the fireball necklace?
Oh, completely different. Whereas yeah, because the beads on the necklace look like basically a drop of fire being contained within amber, yellow, a yellow amber. The fire opal is like this, like blood red, dark crimson, kind of egg-shaped gemstone with this like kind of star pattern of a bright red glittering kind of I mean, they're gorgeous. And there's obviously a reason why they're worth as much as they are.
But they're just gemstones, correct?
Oh yeah.
Well,
I mean, if you want to see if they're magic, you can totally try. But
my first reaction, just seeing the color and kind of realizing the potential of what I hold in my hands, is to immediately move the necklace away, kind of like as if I were holding a gasoline-soaked rag, or we'll stay in less anachronistic, an oil-soaked rag, and she had just struck a flint and steel. But I would like to take a closer look at these gems.
Sure. I thought you were going to do the whole, like, I'm staring at them like a cat does at a Christmas tree. But like, yeah, legit. I get that. But yeah, taking one in your hand, it feels weighty in the way that a kind of a gemstone does. They're beautiful. They're very like the way they're cut. And even though they're round, the facets, like, they definitely have been cut. The facets are extremely fine to a point where it almost feels kind of like a golf ball texture, where you have all these tiny little kind of like pits, little facets all throughout it to keep kind of the integrity of the gemstone there.
Okay, I feel a little better that these are not going to react with this.
No, but they're worth a lot of money.
Why would a gnome who was apparently running for our establishment, why on earth would he be carrying such a large sum of money in such what appears to be a rare form of currency?
And he also looked like he had been spending some time in the sewers. Bev, did you find anything on those humans?
I didn't find anything, but I saw something. One of them was Zentarum.
Oh. Oh.
Oh boy. Maybe they
Awkward.
Maybe they were coming to see you. I need to go talk to Kiara.
And that's a perfect time to kind of go over to Kiara. Kiara, as being in the tavern after seeing what you saw, what would you like to do?
I'm probably trying to keep myself as busy as possible, because I was the one looking at all these dead bodies, seeing if any of them had a chance of being spared. So I'm extremely upset right now, but I'm trying to play it cool. So I'm basically just making sure like every last detail to the minutia is perfect. And I'm trying to also make sure that everyone's okay at the same time, like trying to talk to them individually, hear what they saw, and see how they're coping with everything. So like basically trying to be the mom, for lack of a better description.
No, sorry. This is everyone in Troll Skull Alley, not the staff, right?
No, I mean in the staff, like in the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So spending a minute. The staff are all kind of talking amongst themselves. None of them live in the North Ward. Many of them like come from the Sea Ward. I think 2 of them come from the Dock Ward. 1 comes from the South Ward, all the way up. And they've just all been talking excitedly. One of them who lives in the Sea Ward, who was coming out, it was Vila, excuse me. Wow, I get disadvantaged now. Vila, she even has mentioned like that she saw the procession of the bodies going up to the North Ward guard station. And she says to you,
I wonder what the victims will have to say once the clerics get through with them.
One can only hope information that'll bring a resolution to all of this. It's an absolute nightmare.
Well, I mean, I assume that all the clerics will be there, casting Speak with the Dead. It's usually the best way to solve a crime. Couldn't imagine if they couldn't speak for themselves. I'd be curious. I always wanted to kind of be a member of the Watch, but I don't know. I was never really tall enough, or I hadn't fought in many wars, so they generally accept veteran individuals, and it's not really that type of person.
Yes, but you have an eye for detail, and you're quite efficient, which, saying that, I'd hate to lose you, quite frankly.
Oh, Lady Kiara, you have my word. I'm not going anywhere.
Good, because your participation last night was a key reason why we did so well.
Well, the good thing is the drunker people get, the more simpler their orders get. And then at that point, it really doesn't matter. As long as you pour alcohol into some sort of a mug or a cup, they'll drink it. And, well, that's pretty much that.
Speaking from personal experience, you're absolutely right. And she's actually going to start like kind of giggling a little bit, thinking about her own history and times.
This is turning meta, isn't it?
Yeah.
The meta is real.
Well,
And then the rest of them pretty much kind of say like what happened and what was going on. Are you like they're like a lot of them were asking you, are you okay? Were you hurt? And yeah, for the most part, the only person who doesn't really seem to have said much is Helmond, but he was just in the back, like, rattling pots and pans and kind of getting kind of a lunch going. Basically, he's trying a new thing called a pottage, where he basically just takes a large pot and throws beans and rabbit and basically just grabbing whatever he can and just throwing it in. I mean, he seems a little agitated about what had happened, but he's just kind of like focusing on cooking instead of focusing on the tragedy that had happened.
I have a feeling I'd recognize what he's doing because I'm doing it myself. So if everything's looking like everything's under control, I may actually go outside just to kind of see how things have changed and sort of take a look at everything now.
Sure. You see, very quickly, you actually see a couple of members of, like, now that the guard has done their investigation, their preliminary investigation, you see members of both the Dung Sweepers Guild and a few other guilds getting in there and cleaning up the kind of charred, blackened, like, stain on the cobblestones, just trying to get it out of there. And some of them are shaking their head, and it's kind of one of those, like, they don't want to have to be doing this, but it's something that they're doing. You see Fala, who's kind of just sweeping everything up, the dirt around her, or dirt around the front of their shop, and kind of getting it ready to open back up.
I'd honestly, I'd probably walk over to them and just kind of see how they're doing too, after hearing what Lady Hornraven had heard.
Sure. Fala looks a little shaken up, but given the time that has passed, they look a little bit more calm and just a little bit more focused. They look up from sweeping and say to you, Lady Kiara, it's nice to see you.
You can just call me Kiara, no need for lady. Though I did see the Lady Hornraven, and she was in quite a state, so I wanted to see how you were.
Yes, Vincent and I were just speaking about that tragedy. I am a little shaken up. And they kind of look around and seeing that the guards have kind of like generally moved
out of the area, even though there are still kind of guards posted at the entrances of each area. I was watering my plants in the greenhouse, and they point up. And the blast blew out some of the windows. Very lucky that I wasn't there or at least near those windows at the time. But as soon as it happened, of course, I wanted to look down, and through the smoke, I saw this individual in black leather armor. He seemed to be tall, gruff, but he was walking away with a limp. But before he walked away, he reached down to the gnome and grabbed something from them. I don't know what. Held it tight to his chest, and then he limped away past the bent nail. I think he was trying to move through the bent nail and then out onto Sharm Street, I think.
Did you tell the guard about this?
The guard just shuffled me in. They said it would take days before they would go and speak to all of us, so...
Well, they've already spoken to the four of us, I will say that.
Yes, I'm very good at not being noticed, and I heard Barnabas Blastwind speaking that it might have been... He thought it was, well, I don't know, some sort of an assassination attempt placed upon this gnome for knowledge of you. He thought maybe it might have been you. I don't know. But that felt good to get it off my chest. Thank you.
Well, it's lucky that I saw you. I'm terribly sorry you had to see all of that.
The one thing that Karelin teaches us is that nature is not good nor evil. It is cruel, yes, but it is not evil. And while it is painful what we see in the world and even here in the nature of Waterdeep, it is an unfortunate thing that does happen. But anyway, I've kept enough of your time. I need to go back and tend to my plant. And thank goodness for Vincent Trench, who was able to fix my windows without having an issue with that.
Well, that's terribly good. You sure you weren't injured at all, or no street
Yes.
spots?
No, none at all, thank Karelin. I must go. Thank you for listening. And they place a hand on your shoulder.
I appreciate your speaking to me as well. And if you do get a chance to speak to the gods sometime soon, might you please pass on what you shared with me, because I feel it might be helpful for them.
And they bow to you and walk back up to the second floor. So it is at this point in time where I think is a good time to kind of end the session. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to give you 4 fine people a little bit of homework. Is that coming into the next session on Monday, you're going to have to figure out a game plan. You have been given information. You have been given eyewitness accounts. Even Barnabas Blastwind has kind of dropped a few subtle hints. From the things that you've seen, you may have an idea about where you want to go. So this part is not vital, but it's vital. But I would like to say thank you all for joining what I thought was going to be a really hair-raising session. I was a little bit nervous going to this session because so much happens in this one thing. But I'm really happy that it went really well because of these fine people.
Great players. I'm very, very lucky to be able to run this game for all 4 of them. But I'm going to shut up because my voice is going, and I'm going to let them talk.
Mike, that was awesome. From the get-go, I started this game. The session out legitimately concerned for all of the people we had gotten to know in Troll Skull Alley. There was like this pit in my stomach as in character I'm trying to check on people that we're already starting to care about. So that was phenomenal. I do also want to echo a huge thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat. One person I didn't get a chance to shout out previously because I didn't want to break the narrative. But Swillis7996 also subscribed. So you'll see that we got this extra domain dragon in there. So thank you, Swillis. And Wandering Disciple, you can head over to, or anybody, you can head over to youtube.com/mini-terrain-domain, and the previous 11 episodes are available. Wandering Disciple was one who actually came in on a raid with Castle Mac in last night's game and subscribed immediately in the raid. So we appreciate that. Also, shout out to Anon, who dropped 5 gift subscriptions early on, and who there was a couple other people, we acknowledged them early on. Gamers Theater resubscribed after several months. Yeah, I don't like to forget people, but I know I also acknowledge people early on. We really do appreciate that. Your subscriptions, your support through Domain Dice and all that kind of stuff, all goes to support the channel. So thank you for that. This is our Monday night game every Monday at 8:30, All That Glitters. Sunday nights is Tomb of Annihilation at 8:30. Every other Tuesday, starting next week, or rather, second session will be next week, Tuesday, not tomorrow. I will be over on Megan's channel, Dice on Ice, along with some others playing Curse of Strahd. This Wednesday, January 16th, I will be on Erasmus Expeditions for a live help action talking about showmanship. And then there's a few other Thursdays. Sorry, I don't want to brush this one under the rug. Thursdays is Dawnbringer Season 2, The Forge of Fury, which does feature over on the far side there, V, and also Megan, along with DM Scotty when he returns back to us, Jeremy, Erasmus Expeditions, and our newest addition, Ted from Nerdarchy. So that's a little bit of what's going on Mini Terrain Domain. I'm going to throw it around. We're going to start at Megan and move counterclockwise. Or sorry, clockwise. Clocks run backwards in my world. We're going to start with Megan and move clockwise. Go ahead and tell us who you are, where we can find you before we head out of here.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan. I am one half of the YouTube channel and the publishing company Dice on Ice, and you can find me in places. I've left hints all over your house, so if you go in and you look, you can find me somewhere. So yeah, this is always so much fun. It's a very different game. I feel like that crazy person with all the pictures and the red yarn just making connections, and so it's always a lot of fun to try and figure things out. So, and with an awesome cast of people, so thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're that kind of like Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, trying to figure out the the mailroom conspiracy. Dwight at least knew what I was talking about. And speaking of Dwight,
I did. Yeah. Hey, I'm Dwight, Big Bearded Nerd. You can follow me on Twitter. I know Swillis, I saw you follow me a minute ago, so I appreciate that. I'll follow you back in a little bit. Megan mentioned it. This is just such a fun game to be a part of. I feel like we're figuring each other out a lot. And there was a couple points tonight where it's like we did things knowing how everybody was going to react to it, and it's we're able to just play off of each other, and we've got into these characters. Again, I've said this a million times before, but coming from my home game, where it's literally just for one, it's an 8-person home game, and it's a bunch of 40-year-old children that are just trying to one up each other and make each other laugh. And it's one of those games we play once every 3 to 4 months, so it's just 6 or 7 hours of inappropriate humor. So this is the first time I've really felt like I've been in a legitimate game for any length of time, and to get a chance to get in and play these characters and get to know them, get to know Bevyn, and just get to know all of his friends, and figure out who that character is and it's going to be, and then just see what Mike's got up for us. It's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to see what comes up in the next few weeks. So, yeah.
I will just pretend that you didn't forget the 8+ sessions you spent with Megan and I in the Bastards of Bastion this summer.
Yeah, but that was a one-off, like, short campaign.
Yes, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, this is the first time that I really feel like that game. I felt like I was getting to know my character right about the time that it ended.
Yeah, that was a finite thing too. We knew it was going to be 8 to 10 episodes. So I was just giving you
the other games that I've played in. It's like you get to know a character. I mean, in our home game, I DM'd it for a long time. Then when I swapped to being a player in it, I've killed off 2 characters just because I inherited one character, and then I don't. But yeah, it's been weird. So this is by far the longest I've played one character that Jake hasn't killed. So.
That's because I'm not the DM. But give it time. 6 just might get you killed, Bevyn.
Not going to count out. So,
V.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. This was a fun session. It was crazy. I absolutely love the ability of how we're able to go and do things independently with our PCs, but it still kind of all connects and pulls into each other when the story evolves and comes together. So that's been really cool to watch this evolving and developing and creating, and the hub and spoke factor of it all. It's just so damn cool. But yeah, I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse. You're welcome to come over there and check things out. I'll show you how to make terrain, paint minis, all that wonderful stuff. You can find me over on Twitter. I am very active there. I also have a presence on Facebook with a page and a private group. So if you want to join the group and see different people's ideas and everything like that, I'd love to have you join. Just make sure to answer the entry questions. That's a sticky wicket for some people. But yeah, this was absolutely a wonderful evening. Mike, thank you so much for making this so much fun. I loved it. It was great. And oh yeah, by the way, I started a giveaway today.
Oh, do tell.
Well, because my Twitter account's almost to 3,000, the channel is almost to 7,000, and the Facebook page is almost to 1,000, we're doing a Pump It Up K's giveaway. So there's posts on Twitter and on my Facebook page. You can check it out. But yeah, it's some nice swag, and you have the potential to win a seat to play with me as DM in a Patreon patron game that I'm going to be running in the near future.
Awesome.
So that's what's going on. And that was totally spur of the moment.
Fantastic. Yes, if you're not already following, be sure to follow. And finally, the last word goes to our DM.
Basically what he said, do the things with the following and the subscribing and the you can also follow us. That's where I am. I'm on the Twitter. I talk to people cooler than me. Sometimes they talk back. It's pretty awesome. I also have a YouTube channel where I have neglected it. It's filled with cobwebs, and one day I'm going to blow those cobwebs off, and I'm also going to add another campaign onto what I'm playing at some point when I get, because I have so many ideas for campaigns. First one is going to be a Dragon Grin campaign. If you don't know what Dragon Grin is, I really highly suggest you go over to Absolute Tabletop on Facebook and check out all of the interesting
stuff on there, or go to absolutetabletop.com and check out their points on Dragon Grid. It is a great in-depth world where evil has won and being a hero is outlawed and doing good. It's like it takes alignment and says, no, not in this world. Alignment be gone. And it's all wonderful shades of gray. And I'm not even going to make a stupid book joke there. Not going to make a joke. Stop it, V. You're licking the joke. Don't make the joke. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for joining us. You people are wonderful. And the fact that you wish to spend 2+ hours of your time hanging out with us while we play D&D, you're awesome. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. And tell all your friends. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
All right, and jumping off of the Dead Man's Guide to Dragon Grin thing, right here on Mini Terrain Domain, 1 week from Wednesday, we'll begin a 3-part trilogy called Blood and Vengeance, or rather Sphere Blood and Vengeance, using the latest Dead Man Guides to Dragon Grin playtest materials. And over the course of the trilogy, it will feature, at the very least, Tim Carney, one of the co-creators. He will be playing in all 3 parts. James Carney will be playing in a part. Michael Barker will be playing in 2 parts. And Matt Click possibly will be playing in one of those 3 parts as well. As right now it's looking like Drake and Baron will be also joining in on that. And that will be the next 3 Wednesdays, starting a week from Wednesday, right here on Mini Terrain Domain. So with that, we are going to get out of here, and we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want. Metadata.